Oh, here you are. Sorry. Yes. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to work on a Nintendo Game Boy. As a kid I always wanted to have one, but I never had. A couple of years ago I bought one on eBay and it works well. There are no major issues with it. The only problem I have that the screen started to become more and more faded. And also, by default you need to have a pretty good lighting condition around it just to see what's going on the screen. So for that matter, I bought a new set of the display, a new display, this one here. And so we are going to replace that. We're going to use the provided board and all the parts. And I also want to replace the case as well, because I'd like to do these modifications in a way that you can reverse them every time. So I don't want to cut into the original case. So I bought a aftermarket case. I like this green color, so I went with this one. I have two sets of keys for it, the black and red one. And yes, I hope it will be fine. And then we're gonna do that correctly. I also have a Game Boy Color, which I modified almost straight after I bought it. And this looks brilliant, and I thought that why not do the same treatment with the original Game Boy, because I like that too. So today we're gonna work on that, and yeah, let's do it.
So as you can see, the screen is very faded, and this is the maximum contrast we can apply now. So it's time to replace it. The console was released in 1989, and it sold around 120 million units on the planet, so it's quite successful. The most obviously successful games sold for this console were Tetris and the Pokemon Red and Blue. As for the internals, this console contains a specialized CPU which contains command instructions from the 8080 Intel CPU and also Z80 special commands in there. So it's a bit of a tricky one to write applications for. It has 8 kilobytes of RAM and also 8 kilobytes for the video RAM, and then you can go up to, I think, 2 megabytes in the game cartridges with memory. So the first thing we do is disconnect everything and remove the panel from the old case, and we are going to reuse obviously the membranes because the new package doesn't contain it. Nintendo made it fairly difficult, or at least attempted to make it difficult to disassemble it, so they used, at least on the case, specialized screws, but it's fairly easy to find matching screwdrivers now, so I'm not entirely sure whether Nintendo's plan was a success to try to limit access to the hardware.
And then take this one. What we're gonna do, we simply install this in the new case.
Rebuilding the Game Boy is very easy, we just need to follow the steps in the reverse order. So now we put back the headphone jack port, we're securing the main board in the back, and we need to cut these pieces from the case to make sure that the new screen fits, because this would be in the way. Surprisingly, after doing the cut, it was very smooth, so there was no need for filing it. So Now it is time to try the new screen, putting it into the case. It fits very well. And we need to desolder the speaker from the motherboard because the new case doesn't have a speaker itself. I mentioned it before, I'm not very good with soldering. So we are ready to try the Game Boy first time. So we're not putting it fully together, it's just barely enough to connect up everything. So we're giving it power and see whether it works or not. So you can just about to see the Nintendo logo to slide into the screen, and yeah, it looks like everything works so far. Let's see whether we got any sound. I think that works. Now it's time just to put back all the back screws, and we are good to go.
All right. This was a shorter than usual video, but luckily there were no issues with this one. I mean, the transparent case proved to be a bit funny because of the screen is much bigger, so you can see that through. I quite like this one. So yeah, now it's very useful and usable even in darker conditions, thanks to the backlight. And what I like about it the most, that the contrast control has been replaced with a dimming wheel, so you can turn the backlight up or down depending on your environment. Obviously, it is now eating or it requires more power, so drains the batteries faster. But I'm using 2000 milliamps rechargeable batteries with this one, so with the Game Boy Color after the modification, I could still use it for over a week on the daily commute to work. So I expect something similar from this one. So fairly good playtime. Anyway, I think that was all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.